To begin the new year, we're going to take a look at what your subconscious energy is telling you how to manage going through these challenging times. So we have 3 piles of cards for you to choose from here. We have Vesta, my beautiful High Priestess, who represents strength and intuition. We have this incredible fossilized shell that represents eternal growth. And we have this Quartz Obelisk, which brings in the power from the unconscious, from the unknowable, from the universe. Choose your pile. Take a look at the timestamps below in the description so that you can tune in to what you've chosen. Choose carefully because this will begin your journey this year. We'll begin with Vesta. And the first card we're going to look at is the Spiritual Alchemy card of the Magnum Opus deck. We're going to pull that card and we see right off the bat we get the 9 of Cups, which is most auspicious because this sets the tone if you chose this deck. It speaks of overcoming challenges, using the experience that you have gained so far in this life to conquer the things that you feel like you need to conquer. The next card that we're going to look at is a rune. I love rune cards because this is the ancient Viking method of divination, and I have found this deck to be incredibly accurate. And the card that comes up is Strength. Now, when Strength appears, it represents that it's time for a new life to begin because something within you has run its course and it's time for you to look at what is next for you in life. Something that requires you to move forward is present here. That's what we're looking at. And so if we look at the 9 of Cups along with this Strength rune, this is saying it's time for you to empower your intuitive abilities to move forward with confidence in something that you know that you're destined to be doing, something that intuitively you feel like is moving you to move forward. This is the time to do that, to move that idea into a manifest here in your physical life. Now we're tuning into the Thoth deck and taking a look at 3 cards to see how all of this comes together. Well, the very first card that comes up is the Ace of Cups. This is such an amazing, beautiful card because this speaks of reaching your soul's purpose, beginning that journey that resonates with what you are here to do in this life. This is absolutely resonating with what the rune card is saying, what the Magnum Opus Spiritual Alchemy card is saying. This is your time, and what a beautiful time at the beginning of the year to begin a journey that is specifically for your soul, for your spirit, what you understand to be your purpose in this life. And the next card that we have, how wonderful is this? It's the 6 of Discs. It's the Success card. This says that you will have success as you embark on this journey. This is giving you a roadmap, and it's furthermore saying there's success ahead for you if you do take the challenge of moving forward, of leaving a comfort zone and moving into what you understand through your own experience to be the next step in this life's journey. And finally, the third card that comes up, it's the 3 of Wands. It's virtue. And virtue signifies courage, and it signifies character and honesty. This says that you are moving forward with the virtue that you feel within you. This is the character that you build everything else in your life on. And how awesome is this? Let's look at this wonderful spread that has come up for you if you chose the High Priestess. This is saying for the beginning of 2022, it is time for you to focus on moving forward with what you know to be your greater destiny. something that you have gained experience in and that you are ready to commit to and take that leap of faith to move into, and that it requires strength on your part, but this strength comes from the experience that you already know. This is saying that you understand that the life you've been living, it's run its course, and it's time for you to move on to the next purpose in your life. And that's exactly what the Ace of Cups is saying here. This is your soul's destiny. That's what this card represents. This is your purpose, your greater purpose in life that's coming through with this Ace of Cups. And it's saying, yes, there is success for you as you embark on this journey. And finally, you're doing this with virtue. You're doing this with the integrity at your deepest level, the essence of who you are. That's what this energy is representing. If you chose my beautiful Vesta, who of course is my main character in my Tarot Legacy series, you have recognized that this is your time to move forward and take this next step. Now, of course, I'm a dream interpreter. Most of you know that already. And if you are dreaming about roads, if you have dreams that right now you are on a road, whether it's a straight path, whether it's a winding path, it doesn't matter. But I would expect you to be dreaming about being on a road, either in your car, perhaps it's on foot. But what this is signifying is that your subconscious, which is what our dreaming mind is, our dreams are our subconscious mind trying desperately to connect with our conscious awareness, to let us know how we can best live at our highest potential. And what roads would signify, if you're dreaming about those right now, is that you do have a path that you're on and that it is time to continue on that road. So think carefully, try to record your dreams, try to remember what they are, and think about if you were on a path or on a road recently, because this will validate what your subconscious mind is telling you that you need to be doing right now. And I wish you the best of luck on this journey. This is nothing less than the essence of your soul's journey that you will be beginning this year. Now, if you chose the second pile of fabulous cards, if you chose this amazing fossil that's here on our Chartres Labyrinth, let's take a look at what's in store. We will begin with the Alchemical Tarot Magnum Opus. This is spiritual alchemy, which is always concerned with living at our highest potential. And the first card that comes up is the Seven of Swords. This is the energy that speaks of cleverness. It speaks of being clever, but it also represents the potential to overstep. It's a fine line, is what this card is about. It can represent being very clever, approaching things in a creative way, but it can also represent stepping over that boundary into dishonesty. And so whether this is speaking to you, if you chose this pile of beautiful cards, or if this is a warning about someone who could potentially bring some sort of dishonesty into your life through being very clever, pay attention to this. This is very important because this is setting a tone for you this year. And perhaps it's saying it's time for you to understand any sort of deception that might be happening in your life that's either generated from you or that is coming from someone else or something else. So let's take a look at the other cards to see if we can get more information on this. All right. And so we have the Seven of Swords here that is showing up. We have our rune card next. Of course, runes are the ancient Viking divination tool that has been around for about 1,000 years. And I love this deck. This is so completely accurate and tuned in. So today, the rune is defense that comes up with the Seven of Swords. And so what does defense mean? This means that sometimes it's necessary to avert blockage, to stand still, to allow yourself to sit with the block, the obstacle, so that you can have time to sort through what's going on. Now, how does this relate to the Seven of Swords? Well, it relates to it perfectly, because if there is some sort of deception going on in your life, which is what the Seven of Swords is pointing to here, and again, whether it's coming unconsciously perhaps from your own self or from someone else, what the rune card is saying is that this obviously represents a block in your life, and that to work through this energy, take a break, don't push, allow yourself to understand what's going on. And when you do, when it becomes very clear to you, then you can move through the energy to avert this blockage, to recognize the deception perhaps that's going on. Again, the Seven of Swords represents cleverness, and so a little bit of cleverness is always good for us. Being clever definitely has its benefits, but so quickly cleverness can turn, as I said, it can slip into that other side of dishonesty, perhaps deception. And so let this defense rune right here be your guide to allow you that time to think through what it is that's happening here. You will benefit tremendously from this if you do. Now let's take a look at the very first Thoth card in the deck. Well, it's the Queen of Wands. Self-confidence, self-knowledge, compassion. That's what this energy resonates with. And if you chose this beautiful pile of cards, then what this is saying is it's time to employ your Queen of Wands energy. It's time to tap into that self-knowledge that you have, and do it with heart. Do it with a compassion that works through your spirit as well as your intellect. And this allows you to gather that information about any sort of blockage, any sort of deception that might be happening in your life as we begin this year. Allow that energy, that trust to come through you, so that your inner guides can allow you the information that you need to know to avert this blockage, to avert any sort of deception. Let's take a look at the next card. It's the Four of Wands. It's completion. This is such a beautiful card because this means that things are wrapping up in some sense, that some sort of journey that you've been on, some sort of cycle, is going to complete this year, at the beginning of this year, and get you ready for the beginning of something brand new. This can also be a union card. And what I mean by that is it can represent marriage. The Four of Wands in the tarot deck can absolutely represent marriage. And so this is something to consider as we look at the other cards that have come up into this beautiful pile. And of course, this factors in to the Seven of Swords, to the defense, to the Queen of Wands. This is all saying that it's time for you to get very clear about where you are on your own, within your own energy, before you move forward in any way. Now let's take a look at the third card. Well, yeah, of course, it's the Princess of Swords. She's all about clarity. And of course, this energy is gender neutral. If you're a man and have chosen this stack, then understand that regardless of whether you're a man or a woman, that this energy represents clarity. It represents gaining clarity right now. And if you look at her, she has her sword drawn and she's ready to cut through the energy that is in front of her, that is keeping her from seeing clearly what she needs to see. The other thing you need to recognize about the Princess of Swords is that she has a very rebellious nature. Expect something that is not a traditional way of handling things, because her energy, once she becomes very clear, she's going to do what her head tells her to. Of course, swords represent air and the intellect. And so this represents a lot of mental energy that's happening. And this energy is saying, I'm going to gain clarity here. And when I do, I'm going to do exactly what I feel like I need to do, regardless of how this has been handled before by others. I'm going to do what I'm very clear on. And so, wrapping up what we're looking at here, the Seven of Swords says that it is time for us to examine any sort of cleverness that we have going on in our lives, and that if it's stepping over the boundaries where it's no longer clever, but instead moves into energy that is dishonest or deceptive, either within us or within others, that it's time to recognize that. And we do that with this defense rune by learning how to avert the blockage, but not moving too quickly on it. Rather, standing still until we understand exactly what's going on, and then taking the steps necessary to move forward. And then we have the energy of self-knowledge, of compassion, of understanding where we need to be and taking control of the situation. And this means wrapping up something, some sort of cycle, some sort of something that needs to come to completion in our lives. And again, I said, this could be a symbol of marriage as well, because this means unity. As we close this circle, it means the coming together of something, the closing of this beautiful sacred circle. And all of this comes through the clarity that we are going to gain and be totally unique in the way that we handle this. I call it rebellious, and it can be rebellious, but it can also just be completely unique. Now, as far as dreaming goes, if you chose this pile of cards, then absolutely I could see you dreaming about mountains right now, climbing mountains, driving up mountains, climbing over boulders, moving through the energy of ascending, right? Because that's what this energy represents. Hello, Vesta. This represents ascending, and that is energy that I would expect would be coming through your subconscious mind right now, because that's what our dreams do. It's our subconscious free to roam and trying its best to communicate with our conscious mind, always to our best benefit. So think about your dreams. And if you are indeed climbing a mountain, scaling a cliff, doing things that cause you to be ascending, moving up, I would absolutely expect this right now for you, because indeed you are on a journey. Now it's time for our third beautiful stack of cards with this incredible Quartz Obelisk, drawing in all the energy from the universe, from the unknowable, from our subconscious that it wants us consciously to recognize. All right, the first card that we are going to be working with is the Spiritual Alchemical Tarot, the Magnum Opus. And what comes up is the Three of Swords. Now, this card looks dreadful, I agree. It's a rather gruesome card here. And what it does represent is betrayal. It represents pain. It represents sorrow. But if this is the stack that you drew right now, this is energy that you need to be moving through. That's what this represents. It's energy for you to be moving through at this point. So if you are experiencing this energy of feeling betrayed, of feeling sadness, of feeling sorrow, then it's time for you to move through it. And we're going to take a look at the rest of the cards to see exactly how to do this for your best benefit. The next card we're going to look at is a rune card. And of course, rune cards are the ancient Viking divination tool that is about 1,000 years old. And I love this deck so much because it is so accurate. If you chose this deck, this card is absolutely for you. And look what it is. It's disruption. What this rune represents is saying that it's time to change course in your life, that something needs to change. And how wonderful does this work with this Three of Swords? This is saying it's time. If you have experienced betrayal, the feeling of sorrow, if that's how this year is beginning for you, then this rune is saying it's time for that to absolutely move, that the energy is moving, and it's your challenge to take charge of how this energy is moving, because trust me, it's moving right now, and this is awesome for you. Let's take a look at the next card, which is the first of the Thoth deck that we will examine, and it's the Hierophant. This makes perfect sense. The Hierophant, of course, represents wisdom. It represents wisdom that can be in a very traditional sense, but also a metaphysical sense. It represents learning, always being on the path of learning, but then understanding that it is your responsibility to teach. Once you have learned something, once you've experienced something in your life, and you feel compelled to share that, then it really is your responsibility to do that. Also, what the Hierophant energy says is that it is up to you. This energy resonates with living an ordinary life in an extraordinary way. This certainly works with the energy that we're seeing of the Seven of Swords and the Disruption rune, because it's saying, as you are moving along the path of dealing with any sort of betrayal or sadness, any sort of sorrow, if you're beginning this life, and this can be on a major scale or even a small scale. This could be referring to something that's relatively minor in your life, but these cards, your subconscious energy is wanting you to tune into this right now. And it's saying anything that you're feeling that is out of alignment, it's time to disrupt that energy, to get it moving, that this is necessary for you, and that it is time to recognize that you need to be on that path of learning, always on that path of learning and acquiring more knowledge, not only intellectual knowledge, but the spiritual knowledge that comes to you from your inner guides, or perhaps any sort of teacher that you tune into that allows you to understand greater things about yourself and the world around you. This is saying it's time to take that mundane, ordinary life that we all live and live it in an extraordinary way. That's how we're going to move through the energy, this Three of Swords. Now, let's take a look at the next card. Well, it's another sword card, and this time it's the Queen of Swords. This energy is so powerful. She represents the ability to manifest ideas right now in your physical life. She has a sword in one hand, which represents taking ideas and manifesting them, as she sits here on this amazing cloud, right? She's pointing her sword down to create, to bring into being her ideas. But in her other hand, she has this mask, which she has removed. And what that means is it's time to remove any sort of mask, any sort of habit that you have that is no longer serving you, or perhaps never served you. You know, we fall into these habits, and they can begin in childhood, and if we become aware of things that we are doing, masks that we're wearing that do not serve us, we can remove them. And by removing them, we can change our lives in the most dynamic ways. And that's what the Queen of Swords is saying. It's saying that right now you have the power to fund this change. And this works absolutely with the other cards that we're looking at. Let's take a look at the final top card, and it's the Knight of Cups. This is the Holy Grail cup, right? The Knight is holding the Holy Grail, meaning he is following what he believes in his soul is what journey he should be on, the path that he should be on. Of course, it's gender neutral energy. So this is for you. That absolutely wraps up what these wonderful cards are saying, because let's take a look. It says that there's something that has brought you sorrow, or the feeling of betrayal in your life, that's how you're starting off the year. But the energy, your subconscious energy, the energy of the universe is saying, tap into understanding that this is being disruptive. It is time for this disruption to happen. It's like two sides of the same coin, right? Because it's saying that the energy of feeling betrayed, of feeling sorrow is disruptive in your life, and that it's time for you to do the disruption, to change this energy. And you do that by tapping into your inner guidance of the Hierophant, of learning, understanding that it is time for you to be on this path of learning right now, and that if called upon, you need to share what you have learned with others and to live your ordinary life in an extraordinary way. This will change everything for you if you do. And then you have the Queen of Swords, who is saying, on this journey, take off those masks that are no longer serving you, or perhaps never did, because now is the time that you are able to manifest your ideas in physical form. This is a complete turnaround. This year is going to turn around for you in the most amazing ways. And always let the guidance be to follow your heart, to follow what your soul is telling you is your true purpose in life. This is what you need to be working with. This is amazing, huge energy, and it's no easy task, but it's liberating. It's going to liberate you in the most amazing ways. Now, what I would expect for you to be dreaming during this time is about rooms. Of course, rooms represent places in our mind, aspects of our mind. And so take a look at the room that you're in. Think about it. Is it something beautiful, light, and airy? Is it a place that you feel good? Or does it feel dusty, perhaps with cobwebs, or something that doesn't give you a good feeling? Maybe it's dark, maybe it's not well lit. Pay attention to the rooms that you are in, because this gives you clues to the attitude of your subconscious and allows you to understand where your thoughts are generating right now. If it's darkness that you're seeing, if it's a room that you don't feel comfortable in, this is a clear sign that it is time to change this energy, and would certainly work with this Three of Swords that is saying that there's something happening that is not bringing you pleasure, and that disruption is the key here. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope this helped you. I wish you the best, all the best in this coming year. And if you ever want to book a private session with me, you can look in the description below to schedule a reading with me, either with the tarot cards or with dream interpretation, or both, because I integrate both in my readings. Have a wonderful day.